Hey there, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Stop what you're doing right now, because if you've got a 2009 Abraham Lincoln penny lying around, you might be sitting on a gold mine. And I'm not talking about the copper kind. I mean $3 million. Yeah, you heard me right. A penny worth $3 million. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, stick with me, and I'll walk you through this mind-blowing find and how you could be next in line for some major cash. Let me paint you a picture. It's 2009. You're going about your day, maybe grabbing a coffee, maybe walking down the street, and you spot a penny on the ground. You pick it up, give it a quick glance, and toss it into your pocket, probably thinking, hey, at least it's a penny. You've seen tons of them, right? But what if I told you that one of those pennies, specifically a 2009 Abraham Lincoln penny, could be worth more than your car, your house, or even that dream vacation you've been planning for years? Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But that's exactly what's happening right now in the world of rare coins. So, what's the deal with this particular penny? Well, back in 2009, the US Mint produced pennies with some unique features. For starters, they were the first coins to feature a new design celebrating Lincoln's 200th birthday. These pennies were minted in 4 different designs to honor different stages of Lincoln's life. Most of them were just the regular penny. No big deal. But a very small number, about 1 million of them, were produced without a mint mark. And if you're wondering, what's the big deal about a mint mark? Here's where things get juicy. You see, every US coin made at one of the US Mint's facilities has a mint mark, that little letter under the date that tells you where it was made. The famous D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and the P for Philadelphia are the usual suspects. But a 2009 penny without a mint mark? That's a true unicorn. Minted only at the Philadelphia facility, this penny is incredibly rare. And rarity equals value in the world of coins. Now, why does this coin command such a high price? Well, it's all about the demand from collectors and the overall rarity of the piece. People love finding rare coins, and the 2009 no mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those coins that's definitely caught the eye of collectors. And to make things even more mind-boggling, these pennies are fetching prices as high as $3 million at auction. Yes, $3 million for a penny. Imagine that. You've been walking around with a small fortune in your pocket this whole time, probably thinking it was just loose change for a candy bar. But hey, I'm not trying to get you all hyped up just to send you on a wild goose chase looking for rare pennies. You won't find them under every rock or hiding in your change jar. In fact, there's only a handful of these no mint mark pennies that have been discovered. But that doesn't mean you should stop checking your pennies, dimes, and quarters. You never know when that next big find might be just around the corner. And here's the kicker. While you might not be sitting on $3 million just yet, there are a ton of other rare coins out there that could be worth way more than their face value. I personally had a moment a few years ago where I came across a quarter that I didn't think much of. I was just about to toss it into my change jar, but something made me do a quick online search. Long story short, that quarter ended up being worth about $100 because it had a tiny error on it. Talk about a pleasant surprise. Always keep your eyes open for rare coins. That 2009 penny? If you find one, you might want to get it appraised because, well, $3 million. But even if you don't find a jackpot, the world of coins is full of hidden treasures just waiting for someone to discover them. And it's not just about the money. It's the thrill of the hunt. Think of it as modern-day treasure hunting, without the pirates. While it's unlikely you'll find a 2009 no mint mark penny every day, it's totally worth checking your loose change from time to time. You never know, that little piece of copper might be worth more than you could ever imagine. And if you're serious about diving deeper into the world of valuable coins, there's so much more to learn about what's out there and how you can spot rare finds. So, if you enjoyed this wild ride into the world of rare coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss out on more tips, tricks, and strategies for hunting down coins that could make you a lot of money. And hey, if you've got a coin story of your own, or you've got a rare find sitting in your drawer, let me know in the comments. Let's swap some stories and keep the coin-loving community growing. You ever think that you could be holding on to a coin worth more than your car or your house? I know it sounds wild, but I'm about to drop a bombshell on you. Imagine you have a coin from 1968. Sounds ordinary, right? Well, spoiler alert, It's anything but ordinary. If you've got a 1968 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, you could be sitting on a potential $1.60 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny worth over $1 million. But how is this even possible? Stick around, because we're diving into the world of rare coins, crazy values, and I might just throw in a little personal story to make this even more fun. Let's get into it. All right, let's start with the basics. We've all seen pennies. I mean, who hasn't picked one up off the sidewalk or tossed them into a jar? But let's rewind to 1968, a year full of major historical events. And while the world was busy making history, the US Mint was busy cranking out pennies like it was business as usual. The D Mint mark. See, that tiny D is the distinguishing feature you want to look for. The D stands for the Denver Mint, and in 1968, there was a rare batch of pennies that didn't get the proper copper coating, kind of like a mistake, but a beautiful mistake. These are the ones that have the potential to be worth huge money. When you hold one of these in your hand, it's like you're holding a piece of history, a very, very expensive piece of history. But what makes these pennies so valuable? Here's where it gets interesting. In 1968, some of these coins didn't get the right treatment during production. Essentially, they were struck on a planchet, fancy word for coin blank, meant for a different type of coin. These pennies were supposed to be copper-plated steel, but some of them escaped with a copper coating that was thinner than it should have been. So, it became a mint error coin, and as we know, mint errors are like gold, or should I say copper, in the coin collecting world. You won't find this kind of coin in every batch of 1968 pennies. It's rare. So rare, in fact, that in the current market, one of these coins can fetch anywhere from a few thousand to, wait for it, up to a mind-blowing $1.6 million. How insane is that? Now, before you go raiding your piggy bank or rooting through your change jar, let's get real for a second. Not every 1968 D penny will be worth a fortune. The condition of the coin matters big time. It needs to be in good shape, ideally uncirculated, and even then, you'll need the right buyer who's looking for that specific mint error. I know, you're probably thinking, but I've got a jar full of pennies, and I swear I've seen a 1968 D in there. Well, don't get too excited just yet. A worn-down penny isn't going to make you a millionaire. We're talking about pristine, almost perfect coins here. If you think you've got one, you'll want to get it graded by a reputable service. They'll give you a more accurate idea of its value. Just because it's rare doesn't mean it's automatically valuable. Coin collectors can be pretty particular. But hey, don't get discouraged. Even if your 1968 D penny isn't worth $1 million, it could still have some value. There are plenty of rare coins out there that can fetch a pretty penny, pun intended. Speaking of finding rare coins, let me tell you a funny story. I was at a yard sale a few years ago, just doing my usual scavenging for old records and random knickknacks. And then I saw it. A jar of coins sitting in the corner. The guy selling it said, "Oh, these are just some loose change I've had forever. Make me an offer." Now, I'm no expert, but something about that jar just felt lucky. So I threw out a number that seemed reasonable, like $5 or so. The guy agreed. I got home, poured out the jar, and started sorting through it. Mostly just nickels, dimes, and quarters, until I spotted a 1968 penny with a D mint mark. I kid you not, I felt like I had found a treasure chest. But, spoiler alert, it wasn't one of the rare mint error pennies. Still, I was hooked. And that little penny sparked my deeper dive into the world of rare coins. You never know what you might find if you're paying attention. So, while you might not strike it rich with your pocket change, you've got to admit, the idea that a single penny could be worth over $1 million is pretty wild, right? I mean, imagine walking around with a $1.6 million penny in your pocket. That's not just any penny, that's a legendary penny. But whether your coins are worth millions or just a few bucks, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. And trust me, you don't want to miss out on learning more about it. If you want more tips on rare coins, collecting strategies, and maybe even a little more coin-based humor, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You never know when you'll find your own mint error or hidden gem. Keep hunting, keep learning, and let's keep this coin collecting adventure rolling. You're digging through a pile of change, looking for that one lucky penny, and bam! You find a coin that could make you $1.70 million richer. Sounds too good to be true, right? But hold on to your hats because this isn't just a fantasy. In fact, there's one particular penny that's worth a whole lot more than what you'd expect. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 2006 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. So stick around, because you might just be holding onto a small treasure worth a fortune. A penny? Worth $1,000,000. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? After all, pennies are those tiny little copper coins that barely get a second glance. We toss them in jars, lose them down the couch cushions, and honestly, we barely notice them. I get it. I've been there. But here's the deal. If you've got a 2006 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, you could be sitting on a gold mine. So what makes this penny so special? To put it simply, it's a mistake. And we all know that mistakes can sometimes be worth big money, right? The U.S. Mint, which is responsible for producing coins, stamps, and other collectibles, typically marks each coin with a mint mark to indicate where it was made. For example, you'll usually see a D for Denver or a S for San Francisco. But in 2006, a small number of Lincoln pennies were produced without any mint mark at all. These pennies were meant to have a mint mark, but somehow slipped through the cracks. They were released into circulation, and if you're lucky enough to find one, congratulations. You've got a rare piece of American coin history. Why does this 2006 no-mint mark penny go for such a jaw-dropping price? Only a small number of these pennies were made, and even fewer have survived in good condition. Collectors and investors are always on the hunt for rare coins, and when something as unexpected as a no-mint mark penny pops up, well, the demand skyrockets. It's the perfect storm of rarity and desirability. Not every 2006 penny without a mint mark is worth millions. The ones that fetch crazy prices are typically in mint condition, meaning they've been well preserved over the years. We're talking about a coin that looks almost brand new, with sharp details and no wear and tear. So, if your penny is looking a little worse for wear, it's probably not going to be worth a fortune. But hey, it's still a cool find. All right, let me take you back to a time when I was going through my own penny jar, because, let's face it, we all have one. It's that jar where we throw spare change, and every now and then, we hope for a miracle. So, there I am, digging through my old coins like some sort of treasure hunter when I found a penny. It wasn't a 2006 no-mint mark, but it was a 1964 Kennedy half-dollar, which I thought was pretty cool, until I realized it wasn't as rare as I'd hoped. I was convinced I'd struck gold. But no, it was just another day in the life of an amateur coin collector. That moment of excitement is exactly why you want to keep an eye out for rare coins. Sure, I didn't hit the jackpot with that Kennedy half-dollar, but you never know when your next find will be worth a fortune. And that's the beauty of coin collecting, the thrill of the hunt. Now that you're excited, how do you spot one of these elusive pennies? It's actually pretty simple. The 2006 Lincoln penny was supposed to have a mint mark, but if you look closely at the reverse, that's the side with the Lincoln Memorial, you'll see that there's no mint mark present. No D or S means you've got something worth investigating. If you've got a 2006 penny, take a moment to check it over. Make sure the details are sharp, and if you've got one that looks like it just came out of the mint, you might want to take it to a professional for grading. The better the condition, the more valuable it could be. So, let's talk dollars and cents. How much is this penny worth? The current market value for a well-preserved 2006 no-mint mark penny can range anywhere from a couple $100 to a mind-blowing $1.7 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.7 million. Now, before you get too excited, remember that most of these pennies won't reach that insane price, but a few have sold for impressive sums. It's important to get your coin graded by a professional, as the condition is key in determining its true value. But still, even a few $100s for a penny you found in your change jar? That's a pretty sweet deal. So, there you have it, folks. The 2006 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. It may look like just another penny, but if you're lucky enough to find one, it could change your life. It's a perfect example of why you should never overlook the small stuff, whether it's a coin, a collectible, or even that random old baseball card in the attic. The value of something rare can be hard to predict, but you'll never know until you start looking. Before we wrap up, if you enjoyed learning about this super rare penny, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more tips and tricks on finding hidden gems in your coin collection. Trust me, there's more where that came from, and I've got plenty of advice for turning your pocket change into something worth holding on to. So, go ahead, check your change jar, look through your wallet, and start searching for those rare finds. Who knows? Your next coin could be worth millions. Catch you next time, and remember to keep looking. You never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. Don't forget to subscribe, drop a comment below with any rare finds you've come across, and share this video with your friends. Who knows? They might have a coin worth a fortune lying around, too. Have you ever found a penny lying around and thought, could this be worth something? Well, today, I'm going to show you one particular penny that could turn your pocket change into a small fortune. No kidding. Picture this, a 1967 penny with no mint mark, potentially worth up to $1.80 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny, as in the coin that everyone ignores, could make you a millionaire. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be checking your pocket change like you're hunting for treasure. And hey, if you happen to find one of these pennies, you might just end up on the phone with your bank, laughing all the way to the vault. All right, let's dive into this fascinating little piece of history. First off, the 1967 no mint mark penny. You're probably thinking, 1967? That's way before my time. Well, that's true for a lot of us. But this penny, or more accurately, this mistake of a penny, is a huge deal in the world of numismatics, the fancy term for coin collecting. Every year, the U.S. Mint produces billions of coins. Normally, each penny has a mint mark on it, which tells us where it was produced: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But in 1967, there was an unusual error. A few pennies were struck in Philadelphia without a mint mark, and these mint markless pennies have become highly coveted collector's items. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool story, but why is this penny worth $1.8 million? Great question, and I'm glad you asked. You see, when you have a coin that's over 50 years old, even the smallest mistakes, like missing a mint mark, can make it incredibly rare and valuable. In fact, not many of these 1967 no mint mark pennies are still in circulation today, which makes them a rare find. But before you start pulling out every penny from your jar, let me explain a little more about the market value. While most of us will never find one of these in our spare change, the 1967 no mint mark penny is a prized possession for collectors. You see, the value doesn't come from just the year or the missing mint mark. It comes from how many survive in near-perfect condition. Unlike the ones that have been sitting in jars, rubbed by years of use, if you happen to stumble upon one of these coins in mint condition, we're talking about a gem-quality specimen, folks, you could be looking at a price tag of around $1.8 million at auction. That's enough to make anyone want to dust off their change jar and start searching, right? Now, let's talk about how to identify this penny. It's actually pretty simple. You're looking for a 1967 penny with no mint mark under Abraham Lincoln's shoulder. It sounds easy, but trust me, not every penny from 1967 is going to be worth that much. You need one in pristine condition, so if you find one, take good care of it. A couple of years ago, I was at a coin show chatting with a seasoned collector. He was telling me about this time he found a 1967 penny with no mint mark at a garage sale for $1. I mean, it wasn't in perfect condition, but still, it was the kind of story you want to hear. The seller had no clue about its value, and the collector nearly fainted when he heard the price. You might want to start checking your loose change, because you never know what hidden gems are sitting in your pocket or jar right now. A simple 1967 penny could be worth millions, if it's the right one, of course. But here's the kicker. If you want to stay up to date on all the latest tips, tricks, and coin values, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. I post videos like this all the time, helping you discover coins worth big bucks and strategies for building your own coin collection. I'm always on the lookout for the next hidden treasure, and you should be too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Who knows? They might be sitting on a fortune and just don't know it yet. Do you have a penny sitting around that could be worth a fortune? I'm not talking about that old penny you found in the couch cushions or the one you dropped in the parking lot last week. No. We're talking about a rare gem. A 1982 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Yes, you heard me right. A penny worth $1.90 million. Stick around, because today, We're diving into why that little copper coin could be the most valuable thing in your piggy bank. A penny? $1 million penny? Nah, this guy's pulling my leg. But trust me, I'm not kidding. This is real, and today I'll tell you how it happened, what to look for, and how this coin turned a regular day into a jackpot. But before we get into the whole, how to turn your spare change into millions thing, let me tell you about a time I found something in my change that I thought was worth a fortune. Turns out, it was just a really beat-up nickel. Don't get me wrong, I still held on to it because, hey, it was from the 60s, and that's gotta count for something, right? Anyway, stick with me, and let's find out if you have $1 million penny lurking around in your collection, or if you're just hoarding old nickels like me. Let's start with the basics. The 1982 Lincoln penny. It's a pretty ordinary coin, right? We've all seen it. Most of us have probably found a bunch of them just kicking around in our change jars or under the couch. But here's the kicker. Most of the 1982 pennies have a mint mark, either in D for Denver or in S for San Francisco. But the rare ones? They don't have any mint mark at all. Nada. Zilch. Nothing. Now, why is that such a big deal? Well, in 1982, the U.S. Mint accidentally made a small batch of pennies without mint marks. And it was a pretty big screw-up. These coins were supposed to have a D or S to show where they were made, but a few slipped through the cracks without any indication at all. Whoops. Why are these no mint mark pennies worth so much? Well, it's all about rarity. The fact that there were only a small handful of these missing mint marks means they're super rare. And as any collector knows, rare equals valuable. In fact, one of these 1982 no mint mark pennies recently sold for a whopping $1.9 million at auction. That's right, million with an M. Okay, so now you're probably running to your change jar, looking through all your pennies to see if you've struck gold. I get it. I would be too. But don't get too excited just yet. You're probably going to need a magnifying glass, because that mint mark, or lack of it, can be pretty tricky to spot. You're looking for a 1982 penny. This is the year the mistake happened. On the back of the coin, you'll find the words E pluribus unum, along with the phrase United States of America. If there's no mint mark, nothing under the word liberty, you're looking at a potential gold mine. The coin should be in decent shape, not too worn down. If it's been through a metal detector or has been hanging around for decades, it's not going to bring in the big bucks. If you find one of these bad boys, don't just jump to conclusions. Get it verified by a professional coin grader or a certified numismatic expert. You want to be sure it's legit and not just an ordinary, scratched-up penny. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so I've got a 1982 penny, but how do I know if it's worth the big bucks? Here's the truth. Most of these no mint mark pennies aren't worth $1.9 million. Sorry to burst your bubble, but if it's a rare one in great condition, it could still fetch a decent price. Let me tell you a quick story to show you just how tricky the world of rare coins can be. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my dad's old change jar. Yeah, it was full of coins from the 70s, because apparently, he thought he was saving up for something, but who knows what. I found a penny that was all shiny and looked super fresh. I thought, this is it. This has to be the one. I've just found a mint condition 1982 penny worth millions. Long story short, it turned out to be just a regular penny. No mint mark. Nothing special. But hey, it was fun to dream for a bit. Moral of the story? Always double check and don't get too attached to the idea of being a millionaire overnight. So, now you know what to look for. 1982 Lincoln pennies with no mint mark are incredibly rare, and if you find one, it could be worth a small fortune. Of course, most of us won't be that lucky, but hey, you never know. It's worth keeping an eye on your pocket change, and who knows? Your next lucky find could be a coin worth thousands or even millions. Before I let you go, if you're enjoying this whole coin hunting journey, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of tips on coins worth money, strategies for building your collection, and plenty of stories from my own coin-searching misadventures. So don't miss out. Join the community, and let's see if we can turn some of your spare change into treasure. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. All right, folks, have you ever heard of a penny that's worth more than your car? No, I'm not talking about finding a rare gold nugget in your couch cushions. I'm talking about the 1970 D Lincoln penny, and get this, it's worth up to $2 million. I know, you're probably thinking, No way. A penny? But trust me, stick with me for the next 40 minutes, and I'll explain exactly how this little copper coin could potentially make you a millionaire. Alright, so let's break it down. We all know pennies, right? They're the coins we mostly ignore, toss in a jar, or use to scrape gum off our shoes. But not this one. The 1970 D. Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, and while it's usually just a regular penny that we barely think about, there's a super rare version out there that is worth, well, let's just say, a tiny bit more than a penny. See this? This is your everyday 1970 D penny. Looks pretty innocent, right? But in the world of coin collecting, this is the equivalent of finding a needle in a haystack, except it's a shiny needle that can make you some serious cash. So why, out of all the coins in the world, is this one worth a fortune? Well, in 1970, something strange happened during the minting process. Some of these pennies were struck with a double die error. Now, I know what you're thinking. Double die? That sounds like a typo. But trust me, it's the real deal. This means that the design on the penny was accidentally doubled, which makes it a rare, hard-to-find collectible. And guess what? The market for error coins like these has absolutely exploded. If you've got one of these in your pocket, you could be holding on to a small fortune. So, how do you tell if you've got the million-dollar one? Look closely at the date and lettering. On a 1970 D penny with the double die error, you'll notice the doubling effect, most notably in the date, the words Liberty and In God We Trust. You might also notice the lettering looks like it's almost been stamped twice. It's kind of like if someone tried to write their signature twice in the same spot, but with a little more historical significance. Now, here's the part that'll make you do a double take. A regular 1970 D penny might be worth, what, a couple of cents? Maybe a few bucks if it's in perfect condition. But if you've got one with that double die error, you're sitting on a coin that could fetch up to $2 million. That's right, I said 2 million. I mean, if someone told me I could turn a penny into 2 million bucks, I'd probably start going through every coin jar in my house. Wouldn't you? Let me tell you about a time when I found a coin I thought was just junk. I was at a yard sale. Yeah, the classic old guy selling his stuff for pennies on the dollar. There was this dusty old jar of coins, and the guy was like, "You want 'em all for $5?" I looked in there, saw a few random pennies, and thought, meh, not worth much. But then I spotted something shiny. It wasn't a 1970 D double die penny, but it was a decent-looking 1943 steel penny. I bought it, and it turned out to be worth quite a bit more than I thought. Moral of the story? You just never know when you're going to come across something that's more valuable than you think. Now, if you think you might have this rare coin, don't go running to a pawn shop just yet. First, you want to make sure it's authentic. A lot of people try to sell fakes or misidentified coins, so get it checked by a professional. And by professional, I mean someone who actually knows their stuff, not just the guy down the street with a magnifying glass. You can take it to a coin dealer, even send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. These guys will examine the coin and tell you whether it's the real deal. And if it is, well, my friend, you could be holding on to a small fortune. So, take care of your pennies, and you might just find a gold mine. Let's be real, not every penny you find is gonna be worth 2 million bucks. But if you're looking to get into coin collecting and make some smart investments, here's a tip from me. Always pay attention to the details. Mint marks, dates, and errors are key. And remember, condition is everything. A well-preserved coin is going to be worth more than one that's been rattling around in your pocket for 30 years. So, there you have it, folks. The 1970 D. Lincoln penny with a double die error could be worth up to $2 million, and maybe you've got one hiding in your collection right now. Who knows? But whether you're in it for the hunt or just because you enjoy finding cool coins, remember to always check your change and stay informed. And hey, if you want more tips, tricks, and strategies for finding valuable coins like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I've got plenty more stories, tips, and coin-related fun coming your way. So hit that subscribe button and join me on this coin collecting adventure. Thanks for watching, and remember, every penny counts, but some pennies count a lot more than others. You know those pennies you find stuck between the couch cushions or at the bottom of your change jar? Well, what if I told you one of those pennies could be worth, wait for it, $2.1 million. Yup, you heard that right, 2.1 million bucks. I'm not talking about a rare gold penny or some crazy 1800s relic. We're talking about a 1968 S Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Stick around to find out why this seemingly regular penny is now worth a small fortune, and how you can keep your eyes peeled for some serious cash hidden in plain sight. So let's break this down. It's a penny, 1 cent. That little copper disc that spends more time in your pocket than anywhere else. But this 1968 S Mint Mark penny? It's not just any penny. It's a coin that's currently selling for millions in the market. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, right, just another YouTube clickbait story, but stick with me. First off, let's talk about the mint mark. We're talking S here. S stands for San Francisco, the mint that struck this penny. And here's where it gets interesting. In 1968, they made a ton of regular pennies, but only a very small portion had the S mint mark. The majority were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, with no mint mark at all. That means these mint-marked pennies are much rarer than you might think. And rarity equals value. These pennies didn't start out as rare collectibles. In fact, they were practically junk for a while. It wasn't until decades later when collectors started noticing some big mistakes in the way these coins were struck. Some of the 1968 S pennies were mistakenly minted with a double die error, a fancy way of saying that the design was stamped twice, making the features blurry and messy. Now, most of us would just look at a blurry penny and toss it back into the jar, right? But here's the thing. These mistakes made the coins extra special. People started collecting these error pennies, and that's when the value began to climb. And here's where it gets wild. In 2018, a 1968 S double die penny sold for a jaw-dropping $2.1 million. Let that sink in. $2.1 million for a penny. This is the stuff of coin collector legend, and it's not even a rare, ancient gold coin. It's a freaking penny that might still be sitting in your spare change drawer. But before you start pulling out every 1968 penny in your wallet and sending them off to the coin experts, hold up. The key here is condition. The $2.1 million penny was in pristine condition. We're talking about sharp details, no wear and tear, and of course, that double die error that's the real moneymaker. Most of the 1968 S pennies you'll find are not in mint condition. But hey, don't throw them away just yet. If you find a 1968 S penny that's still in good shape and has that double die error, you could be holding on to something that could fetch way more than its face value. Some are selling for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, depending on the condition. So, it's worth checking out those old pennies you find in your jar. And I know, who even keeps pennies anymore, right? Trust me, I get it. Just last month, I was cleaning out my old desk and I found a bunch of loose change in a drawer. Mostly pennies, some nickels, a couple of dimes, and I almost just tossed it all into the piggy bank. But then I remembered this story. And sure enough, one of those pennies turned out to be a 1972 double die. Not worth $2 million, but hey, it's worth something. Don't sleep on your pennies. Keep an eye out for that 1968 S with the double die error. You might just have a small fortune in your hands without even knowing it. And remember, coins can be an incredible investment if you know what to look for. And speaking of knowing what to look for, if you want more tips on how to spot coins that are worth big money, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, and join the coin collecting community. I'm here to give you all the insider knowledge, with a little humor sprinkled in to keep it fun. Who knows? The next time you pull out some loose change, it might just be your ticket to $1 million payday. You might want to grab that jar right now, because today, we're talking about a penny that could be worth millions. Yes, millions. Imagine digging through that jar of loose change, finding a coin, and boom, your life is changed forever. Sounds like something out of a treasure hunting adventure movie, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the 2002 no mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And yes, you read that right. This seemingly ordinary penny can fetch a jaw-dropping $2.2 million. But before you start sifting through every penny you own, let's break it down. What makes this coin so special, and why is it worth that insane amount of money? Okay, first things first. The 2002 no mint Mark penny isn't something you're going to find every day. In fact, it's one of those rare mistakes that happens in coin production. See, normally, every US coin is stamped with a mint mark to show where it was made. You've got the D for Denver, the S for San Francisco, and of course, the classic P for Philadelphia. But in 2002, a very small number of pennies left the Philadelphia Mint without any mint mark at all. That's right, no P, no nothing, just a clean, unmarked penny. Now, you might be wondering, why would that make it so valuable? It's because errors like this are rare. And as we all know, rare things tend to get more attention, more interest, and of course, more value. Think of it like finding a needle in a haystack. It's an incredible discovery, and that's why collectors will pay top dollar for these little treasures. But wait, there's more. The 2002 no mint mark penny isn't just a rare error. It's a highly coveted error. Why? Well, think about it. Pennies are the least flashy coins out there. They get tossed into jars, forgotten about in couches, and are generally regarded as the least glamorous of all US coins. But when you find a coin that's an anomaly in a world of otherwise boring pennies, people take notice. And the collectors who are serious about their coin collections really take notice. Now, you might be thinking, how do I even know if I have one of these rare pennies? Great question. These no mint mark pennies are pretty tricky to spot. The mistake was minor. No huge difference in design or anything. It's just the lack of that mint mark that sets it apart. But here's a little tip. If you have a 2002 penny that's missing the mint mark, congratulations, you may just have a treasure on your hands. It's important to get your penny properly authenticated before getting too excited. There are a lot of counterfeit coins out there, and you don't want to get caught holding a fake when you could be holding the real deal. So, make sure to take it to a professional to get it appraised and graded. And who knows? Your little copper friend might just be worth a boatload of cash. Let me tell you a little story of how I nearly found myself sitting on a fortune. I was cleaning out my old desk drawer, the place where random stuff gets tossed and forgotten about. I pulled out a bunch of old coins that I thought were just junk. Pennies, nickels, and dimes. But then, I found one that seemed a little different. It was a 2002 penny, but there was no mint marked. I didn't think much of it at the time, because honestly, I thought, who would care about a penny? But after doing a little research, I realized I could have had a rare coin worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. Now, before you get too excited, let me clarify. I didn't have the 2002 no mint mark penny that's worth $2.2 million. But I'm sure you can imagine how that moment made my heart race for a second. Moral of the story: always double-check your coins. If you have a 2002 penny lying around with no mint mark, it might just be worth far more than face value. We're talking big money here, potentially up to $2.2 million for the lucky few. Of course, you should get it professionally graded and authenticated before you start dreaming about what you'll do with your newfound fortune. Now, I know, it's not every day that you stumble across a $2 million penny. But that doesn't mean you should stop looking. There are plenty of other valuable coins out there just waiting to be found, and I'll be here to guide you every step of the way. If you're interested in finding more hidden treasures like this one, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all my tips, tricks, and strategies for discovering valuable coins. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, I've got plenty of info to help you turn your coin collection into a gold mine. Thanks for watching, and remember, always check your change. You might just be holding on to $1 million treasure. We're diving into something seriously mind-blowing. You're probably used to seeing a penny in your pocket, right? Those little copper coins that we sometimes toss into the bottom of our drawers without a second thought. But did you know there's one penny, just one, that could be worth more than a shiny new sports car? I'm talking about the 1964 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, hold on to your hats, because this little coin could be worth, get this, $2.3 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that fits in your pocket could end up paying for your dream vacation, or maybe even retire you early. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, how can a penny be worth millions? Did I miss the memo? Well, sit tight and let me walk you through it. So, let's break this down. You've got the classic Abraham Lincoln penny, the one with the iconic image of Lincoln on the front, the date stamped 1964, and the D mint mark on the back. At first glance, it seems like just another penny. right? But here's the kicker. This particular penny, the 1964D, could be one of the rarest of the rare, and the price tag? A whopping $2.3 million. In 1964, the U.S. Mint struck billions of pennies with the standard design. But something strange happened with a small batch of these 1964D pennies. They were accidentally minted without the typical copper plating. That means these bad boys are made from pure copper. And it just so happens that these rare pennies are so rare that people have been hunting for them ever since they first appeared. I mean, most people don't even realize they're holding on to a penny that could be worth so much. So, you might be wondering, why didn't I find one of those? Well, there's a simple reason. The chances of finding one are about as likely as finding a needle in a haystack, in a blizzard, on a mountain. But hey, don't let that get you down. Here's the thing. Finding a 1964D penny that's worth this much is like hitting the jackpot. But don't be discouraged. You're still in the game. If you've got any 1964D pennies lying around, it's time to start checking the details. Look for that mint mark, check the copper content, and see if the coin has the telltale signs of that rare mint error. Now, I know you're thinking, but how much is my penny worth? Really? Well, depending on its condition and whether it's one of those super rare errors, you could be looking at anywhere from a couple of $100 to, well, $2.3 million. If you've got one in mint condition, you're looking at that top-tier price tag. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know if I've got $1 million penny? First, check the mint mark. It should be AD, stamped just under the year. Then, check for the copper content. If it feels a little different, that's your clue. And of course, there's always the condition. If it's a bit worn down, well, it's still valuable, just not quite as much as a perfect, uncirculated gem. But don't worry, pennies from the 1960s can still fetch a decent price if they're in great shape. Let me share a quick story with you. A few years ago, I was at a yard sale, and I found a box of old coins for just a couple of bucks. I didn't think much of it, but for the heck of it, I took it home and started sorting through. As I'm flipping through these old pennies, one caught my eye. Guess what? It was a 1964D penny. No mint error, sadly, but still, it got me excited. Now, I wasn't going to retire with it, but I could have at least bought a pizza with the money I made selling it. It goes to show, sometimes, you can stumble upon treasures in the most unexpected places, though keep your eyes peeled. You never know when that hidden gem is going to pop up. It could be sitting right under your nose. Imagine, just a small coin can change your life, or at least give you a fun little chunk of cash. The 1964D penny isn't just a rare coin. It's a reminder that the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. So, the next time you're walking past a change jar or browsing through a box of old coins, remember to take a second look. You never know. You could have your very own $1 million penny waiting to be discovered. Now, if you want more tips on how to spot coins that could be worth money, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got more coin hunting strategies coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next treasure hunt. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Keep your change in check. You might just be sitting on a fortune.